Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. We're the Movie Couple. I'm Dustin.
I'm Wendy.
And this is our spoiler review for episode 1 of House of the Dragon. Now we're going to be doing this a little bit differently. We're going to treat this a little bit more of like a spoiler review. However, we did film our reaction to episode 1. So we're going to be throwing clips in there from the biggest reactions that we had while we're kind of breaking down our thoughts and opinions of episode 1. So if you are liking House of the Dragon, don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. And let's dive on into this new format that we're going to try for our review and reaction.
With that said, with all the trailers, marketing that we've seen, we have been looking forward to the show, but I also feel like we want to, at least I guess I can speak for myself, I wanted to temper my excitement for it because I really didn't enjoy, and I know this is not taking place after what we saw in Game of Thrones, but I felt like the ending of that show was disappointing for me. I still watched it towards the end, until the end, because I, became a fan, but didn't really like the ending of it. So, and I know this is quite different because it's a whole new cast. It is also a prequel, and they made sure that you knew that in all of their marketing material, as well as at the very beginning of this show. And I really do like the cast a lot. Set design, costume design, all of it was kind of popping for me. So I will say, though, with this episode, and again, you are here watching this because you have watched the episode in its entirety already, so anything we say, basically moving forward, are spoilers for episode 1. It took me probably halfway through this episode to fully get into it. No, I take that back. Actually, the second Matt Smith, I knew it, the second Matt Smith showed up, I became invested. I was like, oh, here he is, because I was just looking forward to it, because I like him so much as an actor.
Yeah.
And I like the way he portrays things, and him being like a baddie.
He does baddie very well.
Yeah, and it's just, he's like the nice, I'm sure he's like the nicest, but, just, I enjoy him playing these kind of characters, so.
And I do have to agree with you. The beginning of this episode is very exposition dump heavy.
Because they got to get some stuff out there.
And honestly, I think that's something that really kind of dragged down the first part of this episode was the fact that they really did focus on getting everyone back into Westeros, back into Westeros. My apologies. So back into Westeros, and I felt like it kind of dragged on to where it was just a little bit too much of, well, now back in the realm, back of what's going on in history, here's all the political intrigue.
I will say this, it was pretty badass that they started off the episode, it was like, dragon! Mm-hmm. The show is called The House of the Dragon, so they, right off the bat, they're like, dragon, and it was massive and beautiful, and just looking at it, and next to, even though it was very well trained, if you will, for a dragon, like if you can tame a dragon, it was still a little bit frightening to watch, and I was like, how do I know if it's not going to turn around and just snatch up this one person?
Yeah.
But yeah.
How do you actually tame something like that could just be ooh, a snack?
But I really am liking where the show is going, especially, I would say, second half all the way to the end, once all the political pieces started to really move. I mean, they had to set up the pieces.
Yes.
Right? At the table with the council, just talking about, namely, the king's heir. And that's where I feel like it was a slippery slope where, and they kind of said it, like putting the cart before the horse. And they're like, we're going to celebrate the king naming the heir, and it will be the son. And even his queen was saying, well, how do you really know for sure? And you didn't. And we'll to get back into that whole thing in just a bit. But I
think the difference I think what everyone's going to be doing is comparing this episode to the first episode of Game of Thrones. Because that's exactly what this is. They're trying to recapture that magic. What House of Dragon did.
House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragon, my apologies. House of the Dragon is doing is that they are focused more right now on that story, on preparing for this civil war and trying to get all the pieces in place. In Game of Thrones, however, they started off with characters.
Yeah.
They started off building up these characters that we love.
Yay, the Starks!
Yay!
For those who didn't read the book before diving into, yay, Starks! Oh.
Go Team Stark! Yeah. But that's the thing. They started off with characters that you know and love, and then they built into the intrigue and they built into the political fighting. This one is kind of starting off with that and then going to start building up our characters. I think as the episodes go on, we're going to be getting more and more into these characters. But right now, it's kind of like we don't know them well enough to be able to cheer for a certain person or to be like, oh my gosh, I love this one anytime this one character is on the screen. To whereas Game of Thrones knocked that out of the park in the very first episode, which is very,
So we connect through the characters.
Yes. Yeah. So right now, I think it still has good potential because it still has that really meaty story of starting a civil war during the Targaryen rule.
I also, apart from Prince Daemon, I really do like Rhaenyra. I find her very intriguing, and I have to keep reminding myself, like, don't keep comparing her to Daenerys, because yes, both Targaryens, but separate characters. So I'm curious to see more of her for sure. Now I want to get into, we're gonna go back to talking about Prince Daemon for a second there, because he shows up, has a word with Rhaenyra, and obviously is eyeing to be the named heir, of the king, and the king's like, yeah, I'm still counting on that unborn baby being a boy, and they kind of get into, especially you see with the council, like most of them are not in favor of Daemon, just period. Him and the Hand of the King definitely butted heads, Hightower, and we saw that too in the tournament as well, where he specifically picked to go, as far as jousting goes, go up against the Hightower and to just humiliate and harm as much as possible, because he's kind of like, hey, in your face.
Yeah, honestly, I really thought that he was going to kill him.
I really
thought he was
so
going to
too.
have that moment to where, oh, you're going to stand in my way? Well, now because of that, I'm going to kill your son.
Well, here's the thing, because right before that, we saw Daemon and what he did with the city, the golden cloaks, the gold cloaks.
Yeah, the city watch.
And just them just riding into town and delivery whenever sentencing they saw fit.
Yeah.
And that was quite interesting, because it was obviously like, yes, I'm sure these crimes are being committed, but like, it didn't seem like they were investigating it.
Yeah.
It seemed like they were just picking out people like thief, murderer, rapist.
It really could have turned into very much a witch hunt, to where people are like, oh yeah, that guy's a murderer. That guy stole my stuff, with no evidence. Or even, it could have just been someone saying that to someone that they don't like.
Yes.
And then they got their hand cut off or their balls cut off.
And that part, which will show you guys our reaction right here.
When I took command of the watch, you were stray mongrels. Starving and undisciplined. For a pack of hounds. Sated, home for the hunt.
Probably insanely loyal.
City has fallen into squalor. Night-kicked landing will learn to fear the color gold.
I think we're about to see some violence.
Yep.
Yeah, see, they're just
Randomly beating people.
to clean up the crime in the city.
Yeah.
According to him. Oh my gosh. Oh, his armor looks hella cool though.
I have to admit, yeah, that helmet.
Ah!
Oh.
Ah!
What the?
No way!
What did they just
no
cut
way!
off? What the?
Nope, 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 nope! Oh!
Oh!
Wow, that's
Oh my god.
like super gory.
It was really. And yes, I get it. Game of Thrones was always violent.
Yeah.
And graphic, and there's nudity and all of that stuff, which I, knew was going to. But this hit differently to where I felt it was a little bit overboard, unnecessary. I guess looking back, thinking about it, and going, thinking about the motivation and the personality of the character Damon, I guess it makes a little bit more sense now. But right there and then, watching it, I was like, this came out of almost nowhere. Like, there was no build up for it. It just, we were going. So they kind of like what you said, they did it backwards.
Yeah.
Where if we knew a little bit more about the character, for example, after he overheard what the council basically was talking shit about him.
Yeah.
And then he went and did this. It's kind of like, okay, there's a little bit of retaliation. There's that rage, that fire, the dragon within him. But they did it the other way. So afterwards, it like made more sense to me. After I watched the whole episode, I said, okay, I can understand it now. But it was just a lot of. It was.
I think. Well, a good comparison to make with the gore and the graphicness and the violence in this is comparing, say, the violence that you get from like the first Michael Myers, the first Halloween movie, to where it's done in such a way to where you get the violence, and that's the way it was in Game of Thrones. But this one, it's the later versions of Mike Myers where it's gore and blood and it's
the kill counts.
The kill counts, and I feel like that it was a little bit more heavy-handed in House of the Dragon, whereas in Game of Thrones it was handled a little bit more for the purpose of divulging. I can't explain that a little bit more.
I feel like they did it for shock value versus storytelling.
Yes.
That's sorry. It took me a while for my brain, guys. It's like 1 a.m. It took a while for my brain to catch up, but that's what it felt like. But nonetheless, after watching the entire episode and thinking back to that scene, I kind of went, all right. But it was kind of a hard pill to swallow. Another really hard pill to swallow, which we'll show you our reaction right here for trigger warning for the scene with Queen. I think her name, how you pronounce it, is Emma. The scene right here.
Oh.
Oh, never mind. High Tower.
Oh.
He did it on purpose. This dude.
And he's going to deliberately kill him.
Ah.
He's going to do something to deliberately kill him. Oh. Oh.
Yeah, that seems like that would be a cheating move.
His face. Did you see his face?
Yeah. Oh. What are the whispers?
The Queen.
Oh.
What's happening? The infant is in breach, Your Grace. All attempts to turn the babe have failed.
Oh, no.
Do something for...
If this is how we should celebrate the birth of our future king. This is wanton violence.
It's been 70 years since King Maegor's end. These nights was green as summer grass. None have known real war. It's a marvel that war didn't break out at first blood.
Ah!
Oh.
I feel you, man. Oh my god.
Oh.
Why is it so unnecessarily violent?
It's weird, I don't... The violence that was in Game of Thrones, I don't remember being
It
like...
hits differently.
Yeah,
than
this hits very differently.
Yeah.
It sometimes becomes necessary for the father to make an impossible choice.
Oh.
Speak it. To sacrifice one or to lose them both. There is a chance that we can save the child. A technique is taught at the Citadel, which involves cutting directly into the wound to free the infant.
You can save the child.
Oh.
Must either act now or leave it with the gods.
He's going to choose to cut it out of her.
Oh, this is it. These final two. They're going to set the parallel of this duel here
To
the whatever is happening within the labor. Yeah. Oh, you saw the detail on his armor? There's like dragons etched into it.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's for the horse.
No. On hit. Well.
And when they do another pan up.
Do you see it now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. All pristine and stuff.
They're going to bring the babe out now.
Oh.
But she's awake.
Oh, this is gonna be. Oh.
I don't want to watch this.
Not me neither. Oh. A forced C-section?
I love you.
Oh, are they gonna like...
No, it's all right.
They're not putting
Oh
her...
my god. Yeah, I don't want to...
She's gone through so much, and you're gonna make her do this?
And they're just gonna kill her.
I'm making the first incision.
Oh, I just...
Don't be scared.
Don't tell her not to be... Oh! Oh!
They're not doing it, and oh my god! Oh shoot!
Oh!
Oh! Oh!
Oh, does he actually lose?
I'm actually surprised that he got. Look how shocked he was. You saw his face?
Yeah. Oh.
Wow, this dude.
Oh, you know we do...
We don't need to see it. No way!
Oh, they're like really cutting her open. Oh. You know what, you're right. The violence and the gore in this is really just hitting differently than it did in Game of Thrones. I wonder if it's a girl. I think it would have been more powerful if they didn't show that much, like, slashing into her stomach, and
We didn't need to see it like that.
we did not need to see all that. The baby did die. Oh, I was wondering if they were going to do something like that, to where it would be like his choice that he made. So he's going to deal with the
Consequences of it.
well, the fact that he chose, and
But
it still lost both of them.
Yeah. That was incredibly brutal and very, very hard to watch. I feel like they could have accomplished it without showing it as graphic as they did.
Yeah.
And again, I don't really, say like, oh, the show's like, have never been the one person to say that's too graphic. For me, I'll never watch it. Like, I would acknowledge that it's graphic, but I'll still watch it. This one, I really do feel, more so than the Damon in the city scene, really, really unnecessary. And I think it was, for me as a woman, extremely triggering. And I haven't even gone through childbirth. And so, that was really hard to watch.
I really do feel like there's a lot of times where nowadays where you can pretty much show and you can be able to get the visualization any way you want.
The human brain is great at visualizing.
Yes,
Yeah.
you don't need to show it. It's just because you can show it, that doesn't mean that you should show it.
Yes.
So I really do feel like there could have been a way that they could have had this exact same thing happen, told the same story, but not been like up close and personal to them slashing her stomach open, and you seen all of that. I'm like, I feel like there's a better way that they could have filmed it. But the way that they put it into contrast with the fight that was going on, out the joust, out the tournament, and comparing the two, how she said earlier that
the woman's womb.
The womb is our battlefield.
Yes.
And I think what they were really trying to
Yes,
show.
yes,
And I think they got
absolutely.
into that a little too much. I think you could have shown her scream, like just the
Yes.
shot of a close up on her head, screaming. You see the blood, but you don't see like the flaps of skin folded open.
Yeah.
And
Again, like, we understand what they were doing and the purpose of it. It was just like how far they went as far as showing the
Yeah.
actual effect.
I never felt
effect of it.
nauseous. coming out of a Game of Thrones episode. I felt nauseous coming out of this
You
episode.
felt like that one guy that was throwing up during the joust.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that whole thing ended up in extreme tragedy. The queen obviously was not going to survive that, and they even said it. They were like the blood loss, and it was just awful seeing that. And unfortunately, the baby did turn out to be a son. And for a second, the king thought, oh, an heir to the throne, unfortunately died, what it feels like minutes after the mother passed, which we saw at the end, at the funeral with the dragon. And that is where we started to see the politics really, once again, kicking into high gear.
Yeah.
There, it's kind of, the council, essentially the hand of the king, reminded him, people are going to expect who are you going to name as an heir, so who is it going to be? And he has no son. He has a daughter, but it's not typical for a woman to take a seat on the Iron
There's
Throne.
never been a queen on the Iron Throne.
And everybody was quite reluctant to have him name Daemon. So, in the end of the episode, and that's where all the political, the intricate web of that political talk and the Game of Thrones begin. Even with which I thought was an interesting but not unexpected scene with Hightower telling his daughter Alicent, who is like BFF, I guess, with the princess, to be like, the king is obviously very sad. He is very low. Why don't you go to him in his chamber where your mother's dressed? I'm like, she's the same age as his daughter. So I
thought that was going to go south really fast, but they didn't go in that direction.
No, because I think
not yet.
Yeah, I think it's inevitable.
To be
honest with you, because if you think about people wanting to advance their position, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, and how strong would your position become if your daughter was
became pregnant and she bore him a son? Then technically, I guess the son could claim the throne over the princess even after he. So like I haven't read because I think there's a book for this, but I haven't read it yet. But having seen Game of Thrones and other fantasy books that deal with politics, I feel like that is a road that we can possibly walk down on. So with that is essentially wrapping up the first episode. The Daemon has left for now. He will be back.
Definitely.
Yeah. I like him so much.
With his dragon.
I think he is definitely favorite character.
Even his dragon looks evil. And it has it's a different shaped dragon too. It has more of like those fins near the back of the tail. And I'm kind of like, that's an interesting looking dragon. That's an interesting design that they did for the dragon.
Yeah.
And at the end of all of this, I'm still looking forward to another episode.
Yes, absolutely.
Curious on how they're going to build this. I'm going to be interested on what characters we're going to start drawing really close to, and then they're going to kill off. Because that is the Game of Thrones way.
Don't get too attached to any characters, period. Alright guys, well that is it for our spoiler review. Let us know some of your favorite moments from the show in the comment section below. And let us know how you're liking this new format. For us, it'll be easier as far as post-production goes because we're not having to edit down an entire episode and kind of battle with the copyright gods, if you will. And we already edit so many other reactions that I just feel like this would be a fun, fresh...
Yeah, and also now we can also just show you the good parts instead of just having us sit there watching.
Yeah, we're providing you references for context, and that's kind of the whole point of this new format. So, all right, you guys. Well, look forward to another episode next week. I think I do have some scheduling conflicts coming up due to travel, and I think D23 is coming up as well. So there may be some lag to this, but again, this isn't. This is spoilers, so I feel like it can come out a couple of days after the episode airs.
Yeah.
And that would be okay, at least for a couple of weeks. All right, you guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.